Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to my home here on the Ravenhill Road. My name's Philip Egerton, also known as Pip. I'm born and reared here on the Ravenhill Road in 1972 till my mother and father, Victor and Elizabeth Egerton. Growing up, I would say I had a good life growing up as a child until I got to the age of about 14. And me and a couple of friends was running about the Ormo Park, and Catholics came along and gave one of my friends a good beating, and that's where I started introducing myself to the first thing of Catholic and Protestant. And before long I was down the bottom end of Ravenhill Road every night fighting with Catholics and getting arrested by police and all this and that. And then I got involved in loyalist bands and progressed from there and got into paramilitaries, and went from the paramilitaries till going to random house parties, taking cocaine, not coming home till the family home, and my wife not seeing me for a long time. And basically my life just wasn't good until the 20th of November of 18. I lost my father, and I knew then my life needed to change, and it was only me what could change it. So I started going to Ulster Temple Church, and I was sort of getting involved here and there, and then disappearing from the church. And the pastor up there, I sort of went to school with him, and he was running after me, haven't seen you, and then I was going back up again for another wee while and run away again. But it was one night I was offered to go to Alpha, and I went to the Alpha course, and the first night really struck with me, and I knew this is the thing for me. So I started doing the Alpha course every Wednesday night, and on the fifth night of the fifth week of the Alpha course, I was sitting in church on the Sunday night, and this sensation came through my body. I say it was like my first E hit I ever took. That's the feeling I got, and it was just coming up from my feet up, and I started trembling and shaking, and I was crying. And Pastor Stephen came over and he says to me, "What's wrong with you?" And I got up and nothing, and run out, but I couldn't get any further than the last set of doors. And Pastor Stephen says to me, "What's wrong with you?" And I says, I don't know. And he says to me, what are you crying for?" And I says, "I don't know." He says, "You crying for me?" And I says, "No." He says, "Well, what are you crying for?" I says, "I think I need Jesus." And he says, "Well, come on, and you know what you have to do then." So I went in and I gave myself to the Lord, and from that day on I haven't looked back. I've got involved with the church through Compassion Belfast, doing different wee courses here and there within the church. But the main thing is I have seen Jesus move in so many ways. There was a young boy in the church that was playing rugby, and he took a serious knock to the head, and there was a clot travelling in his head and his brain, and he was told they needed to get them the Royal, and the prayer went out through the phones for everybody to pray, and by the time that child got the Royal, the clot had disappeared. And if that's not Jesus, who else is it? Like, and just different wee things like that. And prayer is very, very, very strong. I've seen more prayers answered than what I've ever had. And yeah, I think if you're broke and you need help, I think the Lord is the way to go. Nobody else can help you, only Jesus. And basically I'm happy from the day and hour I've done it. I was always in a bad place, had a bad cocaine habit, terrible bad cocaine habit. A couple of times I thought about taking my own life, and one stage I was sitting on the end of my bed thinking of and looking at my bedroom door and looking at ties and all this here, and I said, but thankfully I'm through it, and the Lord is with me every day, and I hope He continues to stay with me every day.
What made you decide to kind of take matters into your own hands there? Okay, you talked about your father's death, but it takes a lot of courage to just pick up and go to church. You know? And was that your first time to church?
That was my first and ever time I've ever been to church.
And what was that like the first time you went?
Frightening. It was frightening walking into a church, walking into a building where I didn't know anyone, and it was just amazing that whenever I went, I knew that the pastor was Stephen Thompson, that I went to school with, and it sort of made me feel a wee bit more at ease. But walking in, there's people that I didn't know, but I must say the people of UT Church have made me more than welcome, and over lockdown and all, the people have went out of their way to get my mobile number and ring me to see how I am, to see how I'm doing.
Excellent. And what's it like now, you know, having Jesus in your heart, you know, and having a personal relationship with Him? What's that like compared to what you were living in before?
Well, I'm not living in sin, and I'm not living in dirt, and I'm not living in lies and shame. I'm now living for Jesus. I feel top of the world. I couldn't express it anymore. Feel happier. Feel more relaxed. Feel more intent. If I'm feeling troubled, just pray, and the help is there. You know.
Yeah. So you wouldn't trade the life that you have now for anything else?
No, definitely not. No, hasn't been easy, I must say, but I know that whenever it's not easy, that's the devil. That's him trying to get at me. But I'm sweet, you know. I have had it hard. I'm waiting on a hip operation at the moment, and I'm on heavy medication. Sometimes my head's not in the right place, but as long as I can pray, I'm happy enough, you know.
And would you say that Jesus is someone that you know personally and that others can know personally?
Most definite, yeah. And it doesn't take much to get a relationship with Him. All you need to do is ask Him into your heart, and He'll be there for you. And He never walks away from you. You can walk away from Him, but He'll never walk away from you.
And is that what you did? Did you pray a prayer, the pastor on
Yes,
the day?
yeah. Prayed a prayer and asked Him into my heart. And that night, whenever we were saying the prayer, Pastor Stephen says to me, whenever you open your eyes, you're going to meet your next family and brothers and all that. And the only hands I felt on me was Pastor Stephen's, and whenever he told me to open my eyes, there was about 30 guys all touching me, laying hands on me, and I didn't even feel their hands the whole time. It was an amazing feeling, yeah. If you could do it all over again, I'd do it again. And the night I got baptized, me and my wife were baptized together, and that was something else too. It was an amazing, so it was, yeah, definitely. For anyone that hasn't took them steps, I would take them. You know, I couldn't have had any dirtier past than me, honestly. You know.
But you feel your life has changed now. It's washed,
that's
cleansed.
Cleansed, washed. At the start, I had trouble with I was tossing about in my head about why would God want to forgive me, and it took ages for it to sink in for me to leave my sins at the foot of the cross. And once I learnt how to leave my troubles at the foot of the cross, that's whenever things got easier for me. Yeah.
Brilliant. And so you would encourage everyone to leave their
Most
sin, their troubles
most
at the
definite.
cross?
I'd just like to say what one of my best friends gave themselves to the Lord during that lockdown over that FaceTime thing and with Pastor Stephen in my house. And that's a thing that I'll always remember too. You know, during an epidemic, he gave his heart to the Lord in my house.
Well, it's obvious that, you know, what Jesus did, he did for everyone. And you're an example of that.
Yeah. And I'd just like to say too, I was involved with one of the 5 churches that had 100 days prayer before the lockdown came in, and we prayed on the Wednesday night in City Hall. The 5 churches came together and we prayed in the City Hall for the MLAs to get back to work, and the MLAs were back to work the next day. And if that's not Jesus, who else was it? Yeah. So, yeah, amazing.